Hello everyone and welcome back to round 7 of our F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went late last night from Miami, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. And also, if you've survived Sprint Week Madness, or Sprint Day Madness, I guess we're going to call it, then congratulations. Very well done. And we are back again today with 2 more videos from this series. Heading though into Imola, we are now up to a 70 driver rating level as well. So that contract goal by the end of the season, we've already gone and achieved, so we're going to hopefully try and continue boosting ourselves up as high as we can before the end of the year. We've just been making very, very good gains in every department so far this season, and long may that continue into the future as well. They're still waiting on some more upgrades on the car. You can see Hulkenberg is eyeing up a couple of bits and pieces there, but we are going to get the tyre analytic data sorted, so that should be on the car for this weekend. We've also jumped Visa Cash App and Alpine overall in the performance chart there, as Kick Sauber really seem to have made no progress since, well, Japan. They haven't brought a single upgrade to their car, so Williams have been able to get the jump on them as well. But yeah, fingers crossed though, as we head towards Imola this weekend, we can try and have a good run out. In terms of specialists, I think what we're really going to try and do early on this game is just basically pick the lowest ranked one we can for quite a while. So we this time around are going to use the wind tunnel engineer. So I mean 170 miles an hour for 30 seconds during a race weekend should be quite easy. Or we could complete any session with the fastest lap. So I think we'll go with that first target. And yeah, let's head then here to the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix.
Hello and welcome to Imola, the home of Ferrari, the home of the Tifosi. We're about to get ready for practice and it's great to have you with us.
Well, as mentioned, we're only really going to gloss over the free practice programs in the sprint weekends. And obviously with Imola not being a sprint, we can really dive back in and try and make sure that we are scoring as many R&D as we can. We've also this weekend got our second rival, Logan Sargent now. Because we're now 70 rated, the team and the game believe that he should be a worthy opponent to ourselves. And of course, we've still, for the most part, had the better of Nico Hulkenberg this season. So I feel like we will hopefully be able to wipe the floor with Logan. I feel like he's been ever so slightly kind of bullied inside this game. He's 10 driver ratings lower than anybody else inside F124, which I feel is on the harsher side. So we make our way then down in towards the Ravazzas. This lap actually has been pretty good. One mistake at the top of the hill.
Coming up, get ready to open it. Distance is on your MFD.
Will this be good enough for a purple score though? Yes it is, only just. Well, Imola very much feels like one of those tracks where either we have a really, really good race out here, or we have an absolutely terrible one. There is changeable conditions as well as we head to the Grand Prix, so hopefully we've got a better setup than we did in Miami. We're really to kind of take a look back at kind of what we did wrong with the car that weekend, and hopefully have improved it. Ready for this time out. Obviously, Imola and Miami, though, 2 very, very different circuits as well. So hopefully we're going to be able to do that. Only a green score there as well. That final corner takes everything out of that tyre. But we do get another green score. Well, time is actually of the essence here, because as we make our way onto our race sim run, the rain is actually meant to start falling pretty much any time now. So we've really got to try and hope that we can make it through this final program. Well, normally I'd be quite happy about beating a target time by about 7/10, but honestly, most weekends this year, we've been over a second up on that delta. I don't know what it is. You know, the AI, their performance hasn't been changed or anything like that. I just think, generally speaking, the early circuits on the calendar are not the AI's strongest, and now we're kind of paying the price for that. But you're not going to get better by making the computer drivers easier. We've got to push ourselves.
Welcome to the circuit named for Ferrari. It is qualifying at a special arena for motorsport. Welcome to Imola.
Well, making our way then out onto a very, very treacherous Imola Grand Prix circuit. Yeah, the rain once again is falling here this time round in qualifying. So I've loaded up the car with a bit more fuel, and we're just going to try and get some laps out onto the circuit there. All of those new engine components have gone on. So nice to see. I think for the first time ever, they are finally sorting out the weird bug where if you try and do it between free practice and qualifying, usually they don't actually work. But yeah, this is going to be a session of getting laps on the board, getting data, as I'm sure times are going to tumble. I'm pretty certain, yeah, every single driver that's finished their lap so far whilst I've been out on the circuit has gone top of the board. Hoping we can try and continue that, but I'm not expecting it to be the case. Hulkenberg, only good enough for P18 at the moment, so definitely seem like the rain is dissipating. And there we go! We do go fastest there on our first run, so time's definitely tumbling then. Is this going to be one of those sessions where being the last car on a lap is going to be critical? Well, as mentioned in Miami, there definitely seems to be more of a prominent dry line on this year's game in these conditions, and that line seems to be getting more and more noticeable here. As most other drivers out on the circuit, I'm just a little bit skeptical that if others do improve, that we could end up finding ourselves down and out in like P16 or something. We should get a good idea, though, pretty quickly as to what the pace of the AI is like. Let's not forget as well, once again, I have compromised the setup to hopefully be better in the wet conditions. And there we go, Hamilton immediately half a second clear of me. Sainz improves as well. So it's important that we're back out there because times are going to continue to tumble. Zhou Guanyu goes quicker. Tsunoda and Albon go up right behind me. So we could end up with a really, really mixed up Q1. Russell dips that time into the 1 minute 24s. But certainly if the AI are going to go out for laps earlier than me, then we have got an advantage. I mean, yeah, Perez, one of the McLarens and Charles Leclerc, all still in the pit lane. Have they potentially absolutely thrown this one away? And all three of them might have to try and fight their way back from the rear of the field. I want to try and see if we can get into those 24s. Of course, helped along once again by a quicker circuit than anybody else. At the final corner, nick the curb on the inside. We're going to be close to the time Verstappen set here. Will it be good enough for fastest? I don't think it is. It's P2. Well, there we go. It was just 1/100th of a second between myself and Max Verstappen there at the end of the first session. Fernando Alonso getting within 1/10 of a second as well. But out then in Q1, Nico Hulkenberg, because of course he would be, Logan Sargent, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, and Sergio Perez here. So with both Alpines, both V-Carbs, Alex Albon making it through into Q2, there is a huge opportunity here for a Q3 appearance and maybe a top 10 finish. We're making our way then back out into Q2. Apparently rain is actually meant to start ramping up again, so trying to get a lap on the board nice and early here is going to be really, really important. Pierre Gasly goes top of the pile, but surely we're going to be able to go way quicker than that. To admit, I do find the wet weather driving on this game, actually when you've got a drying circuit, to be quite enjoyable. You know, such a dependence on utilising that dry line, and I think, again, where the cars do have so much grip, it is a very, very different experience to anything we've ever had before. We're doing pretty good times, though, at the moment as we make our way in towards the final corner. Haven't saved battery to go for a second run, so we make our way through. Oh, Sainz goes fastest. Way too busy looking at the time set by him rather than focusing on ourselves, but we're going to obliterate that. A 22.6. Okay, we are here to fight. Well, I will admit, we did absolutely nail the timing on that run there. 2 seconds clear of Carlos Sainz and anybody else at the end of Q2. Other major surprises then, Gasly making it into Q3 there. Alonso out down in P11, getting jumped by the Frenchman who obviously replaced him at that Alpine team. But apart from that, no other major shocks. I guess Zhou Guanyu, he is having the season of his life. P5 there at the end of Q2. We go then making our way into Q3 and looks like we're going to be in for an interesting one. Although the circuit looks dry, it absolutely isn't. But everyone now has got no choice but to move over onto a set of the option tyre. Yeah, anything can happen now, to be completely honest. But I think, again, this is going to be a session of trying to be out right at the last moment there. No more rain is predicted. So it's really going to be about trying to be the last car on a lap. But we've got to get a banker in, we've got to get a delta, and that's not a good way to start. Will we have enough time, though, to get back to the pit lane here? I'm trying to do the maths in my head. It is going to be mighty close. We're going to have, what, 3 minutes when we get back in. We've got to back out. We cannot afford to finish this lap. It seems so bizarre to be this far up on the AI, but we will not have enough time here to get in, get back out if the track continues to improve. Have we sacrificed Our first ever pole position here. We'll have to wait and see. Everyone else then starting their final lap here in qualifying as we make our way back out of the pit lane. I've remembered to disable the battery, but this is going to be a really, really dramatic end to qualifying here. I'm looking at that Ferrari of Carlos Sainz or the Merc at the rear of this group. They're even like the V-carb as well. Daniel Ricciardo has got a big opportunities. We've got to make sure we stay out the way of everybody else as they're on their lap. Verstappen doesn't seem like he's pushing on as well as he would have wanted to here. I was expecting to see the Dutchman looking a bit more confident behind the wheel of that Red Bull. Well, I'm going to try and make sure I stay close enough to Lance Stroll here, down in towards the final couple of corners, to perhaps get a little bit of slipstream back down in towards turn 1. But surely, all the times now, we're basically going to go quicker than the car in front of them, man. It's Gasly goes fastest. Max Verstappen goes 1.3 seconds quicker there. Is out of the final corner, up over the start-finish line. Have we got an opportunity to potentially cause the upset of the season here? It's going to be very dependent on whether Stroll can get out of the way. Carlos Sainz for Ferrari goes fastest at home as we get ragged through those first couple of corners. Absolutely throwing everything on the line as we make our way up towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane. No one else has got time to go again, so it is all or nothing for us in purple as we make our way through the first sector there. Ricciardo unable to deliver despite some very optimal track position. He will only be 9th place on the grid. So really, our big target is make sure that we are quicker than Zhou Guanyu there, throwing the car over the curbs up at the top of the hill. But the grip is absolutely coming to us here. A little bit of understeer on the exit of Aqua Minerale, but we're able to put the power down. And look at that, we are 6/10 up on Zhou at the moment. Through the chicane we go. Are we about to ruin Carlos Sainz's party here and snooker away our first ever pole? Has, of course, already taken one, courtesy of Kevin Magnussen back at Brazil in 2022. Through the final couple of corners we go. Oh, catastrophic understeer. And we've thrown it away at the end of the lap there. That is so painful. So painful. We may as well try and get a lap time on the board in the end. Don't hit the pit wall. And that, I cannot believe that. Words cannot describe the heartbreak that that has caused. Zhou Guanyu we were 6/10 up on that Kick Sauber car by the end of that lap, by the end of Sector 2 here, on a track that was continuing to ramp up in terms of performance. We have absolutely thrown away our first ever pole position here in Formula 1. Bottle Job 212 is back, ladies and gents. But we've got to try and put that behind us. We've got changeable conditions as we move into the Grand Prix. Let's see if we can get some redemption.
Welcome to the home of Ferrari, where the circuit is lined by the scarlet-clad Tifosi in the grandstands. We have a wonderful atmosphere here at Imola. Like most Formula One tracks, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet tarmac to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then, of course, leads them into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today, of course. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Zhou, Stroll, Gasly, Ricciardo, Mr. Monaco, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Ocon, Bottas, Tsunoda, Perez, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Norris. Charles Leclerc completes today's grid order. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, this is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix, which means there's a lot of very important people here behind the scenes. I'd love to give them a strong result to watch today, plus a good result might make my post-race meetings a little bit easier.
Well, the rain is still falling then here around the circuit, but apparently it is going to be a dry tyre start. We said that in the Imola sprint, the Miami sprint, didn't we? And it ended up being much better to be on the intermediates earlier on. So we'll wait and see as to how that goes. But because it's a dry compound start, we are definitely using the soft compounded rubber here. It makes the difference. We need that grip early on, and I want to try and push forward, as do many other drivers. 5 red lights here at Imola. A mighty long hole, but it is lights out, and away we go. There is no one really able to put the power down. Oh, we just about forced ourselves into a window. No, we don't. Lance Stroll, I've said it before and I'll say it again, zero awareness inside this game. Moves across me, and somehow we're on out of the Grand Prix before we even make it in towards turn 1 there. Easy does it on the loud pedal through the next couple of corners. There's already Perez trying to make moves there. Looks like Sainz and Verstappen have scampered clear of everybody else at the start of this GP. But look at this. Everyone is just tiptoeing their way through. And once again, are we potentially seeing conditions where the tyres the game has put us on are not suitable for the cars early on? That is the real question here. There's a lot of spray still being kicked up. Usually that is the difference maker. Obviously if there's spray being kicked up, then it is still intermediate conditions then. As back down the inside of Alex Albon will go, who thinks about just hanging it up the inside into Aquamarine, but decides better of it in the end. And very, very chaotic start to this race. We need to be careful though early on. I don't want to fall into the same trap we did in Miami, where obviously we box over to the Inters, are quicker for a few laps, but have to make the transfer back. What are the teams saying about the weather?
The weather's going to dry up in about 5 minutes' time. Inters seem to be the fastest tyre for now.
If they're telling us Inters, why didn't we start on them? Why wouldn't it even give you the option to start on the intermediate tyre here? Verstappen, though, will lead at the end of lap 1. I think we've just got to brave it at the moment and be careful of those re-attempts. We can see Alonso there trying to make a move on Pierre Gasly down the hill. Maybe a little bit of beef between those two after qualifying there. And Alonso absolutely cooking early on his medium tyres. So he's definitely got the temperature into him and able to go around the outside of Pierre. We need to look for a move on Ricciardo and Gasly as early as we can, because there are going to be a lot of quick cars behind.
Keep taking care of them.
Charles Leclerc, Lando, Norris, though, I'm going to be keeping an eye on them throughout the course of this Grand Prix. Neither of them have moved at all off the start. Well, we're only on lap 4, and already it feels like Pierre Gasly is a little bit of a cork in the bottle there, sending it into the chicane at the top of the hill. And I think Ricciardo as well is going to be trying to look for a move round him. Sure, VCAR would love to get their first points of the year here. Alpine, I believe, as well, also, still yet to score, aren't they, so far this season, as Alonso is cooking. George Russell has just taken away his fastest lap, but Fernando Alonso making those mediums work.
4.2 seconds.
Luckily, tyre temperature easier to manage here than it was last time out. As the track will start to dry out, things are going to change. Come on then, Danny Rick. Let's see if he can get a run on Pierre back down towards someone. Oh! Almost drops it as he tries to pull out of the wheel tracks, and Ricciardo will slip by. Shades of George Russell in 2021 there. You've got to be so careful when you move off of the dry line. But Ricciardo's through. Hopefully we can follow him. Oh, nice run out of the chicane. Come on, we've got to take our chances whilst we can here. Gasly, I thought he was going to try and go defensive, but we will slip down the inside. And to those final couple of corners there. You don't often see moves there, but we will take it.
So easy.
Mark loving that one as well. So are we now going to be able to get the move done on Danny Rick as well? Careful in the DRS for the sudden changes of direction by the AI. Do not want to see a repeat of what happened at Albert Park. Around the outside will go. Ricciardo, forced onto the wet line into the braking zone. Now we've got to run away. I tell you what, Zhou Guanyu is an absolute baller so far in this series. He's absolutely been the star of the show. So often has he been delivering for that Kick Sauber team, and pretty much ever since there was rumours that we could be taking his drive. He's absolutely squashed that with the on-track performance in recent races. Ricciardo is still hanging close to me. Gasly, feel like, again, we're kind of the head of the DRS train today. Well, one thing I hadn't banked on today is the fact that Lance Stroll, without any DRS, isn't actually going any quicker than us. We're actually taking a couple of tenths out of him over the last couple of laps. His team already want me in the pit lane to go over to a set of the hard compounded tyres, so I wonder if we'll start seeing cars peeling in.
And remember the speed limit. We'll be penalised if we exceed it. Keep that in mind as you approach.
That was definitely not the line we needed through the chicane. But yeah, we are boxing now. We're going to try and extend these tyres to about the end of lap 14 and go for a medium stint to the end of the GP. We need to have that pace advantage if we want to hang on. But there we go, Hamilton, Stroll, and Max Verstappen all into the pit lane. We're going to be into the lofty heights of P6. Oh, there we go, Piastri and Carlos Sainz also in, so maybe sacrificing their own strategy.
Don't be too aggressive.
Yeah, trying to be a bit more gentle with the car, but yeah, I reckon Piastri and Sainz, they're both sacrificing their strategy to help their teammates. As well, Ricciardo has a look down at turn 1. I accidentally went more defensive on him than I'd actually intended to. Was Alex Albon now? He's making those hard compound tyres work. He's actually just set fastest lap of the day. I think he got a little bit carried through one of the DRS windows. I'm very worried about Albon getting the jump on me here and potentially costing us both times, so we're going to dive into the pit lane then. One lap earlier than I ideally wanted to come in, but it should be okay. Hulkenberg will stay out for another lap. He's actually started this one on the medium compound, so of course we've got to start thinking about our rivalries as well. So where is Logan Sargent? Last.
Go now, come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Maybe that one is less of a surprise here, but we've got Pierre Gasly making his way back down towards turn 1. Really hoping we weren't going to get jumped, but I think we are. As here comes Perez and Norris as well in towards that first corner. So that's not worked out well for us. We've been undercut by the Red Bull and the McLaren. Not quite yet by Charles Leclerc, who is having an absolute disaster.
Okay, mate, we need to save up some ERS, so let's focus on charging it up, please.
Okay, new target acquired. Oh no, that is Lance Stroll, who's just come out of the pit lane still ahead of us then, so really not ideal. Stroll, who could have been one that we were battling with towards the end of the afternoon, has made that slightly longer strategy work for him. Our mediums do feel good against Lando and Sergio at the moment, so we've got to try and find a way through. Oh, come on, we've used plenty of battery in a place that might catch Lando by surprise. Down the inside we'll go, and it was a very aggressive move. Oh, I just thought at the last moment then, am I about to regret this? But we made it happen. Perez now trying to apply pressure to Pierre Gasly as well, a little bit further up the road. So are we going to be able to slingshot and maybe get past Pierre here? I don't think he'll have the range from Lance Stroll to get the DRS, which he hasn't. So here we go, Sergio Perez. We set a new fast lap of the day.
We need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
Well, I thought we might be able to get past Esty Bestie, but we've actually got the jump on the pair of them down towards turn 1, 3 wide. And we move up into 11th then. It's actually Alonso that's boxed, not Lance Stroll. So he's a bit further up the road. But these mediums are cooking. In the good way, I should add. Not actually overheating like normal. Well, I can't see anyone on the circuit at the moment who seems to be having a good time on the hard here, of course. We're going to struggle towards the end with the tyre wear. I'm sure those hard runners will come back at me. But Alonso next up on the old hit list. I mean, look how much curb you can take as well. I know we've said that the curb usage inside this game is a little bit unrealistic at the moment. And Imola probably the worst culprit for that. But it is quite fun. It does make you feel like you're much more talented than you are. Right, come on then, Fernando. Let's see what you've got against Zhou Guanyu. We're going to have to completely sacrifice the target that the team set for us, because I don't think that's viable with the strategy we're trying to employ at the moment. As there goes Alonso clean around the outside of the kick Sauber. But yeah, now Zhou, I hyped him up early on. That seems to have been a bad choice, as I think one of the Mercs here may be struggling with some mechanical gremlins. Lewis Hamilton, he's absolutely dropped back into our clutches here. And suddenly we're in a fight for 7th. Watch out, a little bit of a wobble as we make our way up through Aqua Minerale. Can we do what we did to Lando Norris just a couple of laps ago? Oh, Zhou Guanyu, he tried to swing defensive at the last moment there, thinking I backed out of it. You're going to have to go a bit more defensive a little bit earlier than that, mate, to make me back out. Aggressive move again. But we pulled it off and we are back inside the top 10. Here we go then. Are we going to see Hamilton get the run back on Stroll? Or do we... Oh no, look at that. Hamilton's got no DRS. I think that's the problem for him here, as Alonso surely going to get a huge run on the pair of them back down towards Sermon and Stroll. He goes from gaining the place last lap to potentially about to lose 2 this time round. Alonso will make it through. We're going to try and fight our way through as well there, as we'll make sure we're giving some room on the exit of the corner. Up into P8 then, of course, this would equal our best result of the season so far. Back in, I believe, yeah, of course, it was Jeddah, wasn't it? Where we got that 8th place finish. Jeddah feels like a long time ago. I would love some points here. Well, Alonso and I both are going to be looking for a move on Lewis Hamilton then, as I think Zhou Guanyu, yeah, he's even made it. Around the Aston Martin driver as well, so Zhou Guanyu dropping out of the DRS range, though we're going to completely drain the battery down towards turn 1. And for the 3rd time in 3 laps, AI or myself there, 3 wide down at the first corner. Hamilton wanted to turn in, not going to allow it to happen.
Nice move. Keep going.
Somehow he not quite happy with that one, despite the contact. But now we need to stay in the range of Alonso and basically hang on to him. Well, that little bit of contact with Sir Lance there might not have felt like much, but it's actually made a bigger difference in this Grand Prix than I realised. You can see that front left tyre, just from that one bit of damage. 20% more wear than any other here.
Car behind, just keep pushing.
Gotta try and get the run on Fernando, though, down towards turn 1. Come on, man! You can't just park in the middle of the road and not expect me to go somewhere there, as somehow, with 2 wheels on the grass, we're going to go around the outside of the Aston Martin. Honestly, I'm not worried about staying ahead of him here late on in the day, because of course we know how potent that DRS is here.
Gap to the car in front, 9.5 seconds.
I mean, if we could break free, that would be incredible. Otherwise, I think it would just be about trying to manage the tyres whilst we haven't got the dirty air, as Alonso already trying to have a look back. We say no. Oh, that moment as well. That could have been critical here. Alonso now is out of the DRS range, just offline down through Aqua Minerale. I'm not expecting it to stay this way, but if we could keep him out of the range, that would be incredible. Hamilton's going for it. Hamilton is trying to make the move on Fernando Alonso. If those two fight, look at the delta. Absolutely shooting up there, 1.6 seconds. It doesn't sound a lot. In the grand scheme of things, it isn't much at all, but this is huge for us. This is pivotal in this Grand Prix. At 3/4 distance, suddenly now, we might be able to focus on our tyres more. I mean, lap 27, that tyre wear warning light has already flashed up. I don't know what it is about that front right. We had no problems with it in the first stint, but I reckon the team might have actually put a soft tyre on that corner, because the tyre wear is absolutely climbing up towards the end of this race. We enjoyed a few laps of peace and quiet with Fernando Alonso at an arm's length. That now pretty much has evaporated as well. We knew it was going to be tough towards the end of this race when the hard started to fall off. And we've still got 5 laps to try and hang on. Oh no, here comes Fernando. I mean, we've just got to try and hang with him, haven't we? The goal today is just try and score points where possible. Are we going to potentially lose out?
Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus.
P5 was always going to be a ridiculously good result, but what we now need to do is stay in his range. Don't now immediately drop a second to the Spaniard. Well, a bit like we saw in Shanghai then, I'm so worried that this is basically turning into a drive until the tyres explode challenge here. We've got just 3 laps to try and hang on, but that front right, 70% wear now. Late on in the day, it does seem like we've got enough to try and hang with Fernando Alonso, though, as everyone maybe just having to start nursing. But come on, we so desperately want to return to the points here, even if it ends up being 9th or 10th again. But P6 would do us so much good. Well, at the front of the field then, it might have been another very, very dramatic race, but it is still one constant, and that being Max Verstappen leading the way as we start the final lap here. Fernando Alonso, though, I tell you what, if we can get a good run out of this final corner, that Aston Martin has lacked some straight line speed, and we're not going to give up on that P5 finish if we can go for it. Gaining on the Aston Martin down in towards turn 1. He's not going to go defensive, or he does just at the last moment. And Alonso, maybe the wily old fox, maybe a little bit dodgy there with that late defensive move. That's the problem, actually, with down in towards turn 1 here at Imola. Is it really does allow you to kind of move around in the road and get away with it because of the way the circuit arcs around. But yeah, Lando, Norris, Sergio Perez also making a very, very, very good recovery drive here today to get themselves back into the points. The same cannot be said for Charles Leclerc. And even our pole sitter Carlos Sainz, unfortunately, is not even going to get a podium by the looks of it at the moment. But yeah, like I said, Saudi Arabia, it feels a long time ago. We have had a lot of heartbreak since then, and I really was starting to wonder whether Albert Park was a curse that was going to be alongside us for the rest of the year. 81% wear on that front right tyre. We have driven to and beyond the limits today. Verstappen is going to win the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, but as we round the final corner, we are going to return to the points. It is P6 and a new best result for the team of the year.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola, in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix.
And that's 2 wins in a row now, of course. And it marks the fact that it's not a fluke. So, you know, their head's in the right space. What more can we see going forwards?
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Well, I'll be honest, I had completely forgot that we took fastest lap then in that GP, so it's actually 9 points to add to our tally come the end of this weekend. But it is Max Verstappen once more, top of the podium there. I had a Russell, Oscar Piastri, Carlos Sainz, Alonso, and myself. So 6 drivers from 6 different teams inside the top 6 there. Hamilton, Zhou, Perez, and Norris rounding out your point scorers there. And Charles Leclerc did get to the front of the backmarker group, but yeah, wasn't really able to do anything with it. As Hulkenberg, a very lonely P17 finish when all is said and done. That means taking a look at the championship. Well, I mean, it feels like a foregone conclusion, doesn't it? Verstappen, 76 now ahead of the ever-consistent Carlos Sainz. At least, I guess, Ferrari trying to give Red Bull a run for their money in the constructors there. Perez in 4th ahead of both Mercs. Alonso ahead of both McLarens. We now jump Valtteri Bottas for the first time this season with that big haul of points there, and just give ourselves a little bit of breathing room from Lance Stroll as well. But I think Zhou Guanyu is going to be a very, very worthy adversary by the end of the year there. Constructors-wise, Red Bull with a 67-point lead at the top, though, after a tough weekend for Ferrari. 14 back from Kick Sauber. That's going to be difficult, but not impossible to overhaul if we can get a couple of other big results over the course of the season. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon. Formula 1 heads to the jewel in the Formula 1 crown. We'll be back later on today, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix.